Entertalk Radio, your in to all things music.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Happy Friday, everybody. You are tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I am Scott, your host, and a man who many have said is slowly clawing his way to the middle of show business, one radio broadcast at a time. With me is my partner in plugins, my buddy on the buttons, colleague in cabling, making it all work at Entertalk Central in lovely San Diego, California. Paul B,
Wow,
what is up?
What an intro. I like that.
I know. See, I work on this show. I don't just, I don't just pop out of the restroom and then like, here comes the show. It's like there's work involved.
Very, very cool.
What's going on with you guys down there?
I don't know. This week just raced by. I don't know what we did. What happened? It was just the whirlwind of pedals and shows.
It's a whirlwind of stuff going on.
We got a bunch of video gear here that we were using for our Facebook live streams it's still like sitting up here. There's like lights and cameras pointed at me. Nothing's on,
nice.
But it's starting to look less like a radio station, more like a TV studio.
That's right. You guys will be like Howard Stern pretty soon. And
Yeah.
You'll be like, come on, let me show you what's going on in the studio.
Yeah, we're gonna need some little people, chicks in bikinis here soon for entertainment value.
Entertalk Radio jumps in the podcasting world with its, it's basically Howard Stern-like tactics that it takes. I could see it. Well, goody then. So we're here on the show, and if you have a question for me, you can always email me at scott@robertsoncom.com, and I will try to answer anything right on the big show here. You can also find my posts, some client news clips, stuff that we're actually generating in the real world of PR and marketing out there, and tidbits that I find on the Robertson.com Facebook page, which it might surprise you, is actually at Facebook.com/RobertsonCom with 2 M's, or Twitter @RobertsonCom. It's all intuitive like that. Reach out and connect. Hopefully I can keep you entertained all week, and I'll give you a few good tips too. This show, episode 41, I have called Invasive Procedures. And obviously it's no secret the way that I feel about how marketing is used today. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. Turn your head and cough, sir. Place your feet in the stirrups, miss. Here we go again. Most marketing today is really an invasive procedure that puts the marketer's need above the audience's. It's kind of sad. It's kind of true. It's kind of like the LA Rams 2016 football season, to be honest. But yours doesn't have to be like that. There is a better way. I'm going to show you how to do things better. Of course, we're going to talk about who's really being invasive and screwing up out there in the winning and losing segment. And we're going to have a lot of fun along the way. So buckle up and put your feet in the stirrups. That's never, I can't imagine that ever being a good thing that's said to you. As a human person, but enjoy. We're going to talk about it. So let's talk about invasion. Let's talk about, I start out with the premise of saying that marketing today is invasive, and it is. It really, really is. Advertising stands in the way of everything that you really want to do, see, or hear. Now wait, and here comes an ad. Oh, and you really want to watch that Jimmy Fallon video? Okay, well, here's an ad for a car that you don't want for 15 seconds, beforehand. Answer an email, which, used to be, when email first, came out, it was like, ding, you've got mail. And you're like, whoa, I've got mail. Look at this. Is so great. And now it's just a chore. It's just a pain in the butt. And you've had to set up little defenses everywhere, spam blockers and junk mail rules and filters and all of this. Forget answering your telephone. Nobody answers his telephone. And if you do, get ready for disappointment. Nobody's going to answer it without caller ID. I'll tell you that. Hey, thank you telemarketing for that invasion. The mailbox full of garbage all the time, and always full of, in fact, most stuff in your mailbox is probably, untargeted garbage that you're going to move from the mailbox into the garbage. Your social network feeds filled with, when not filled with annoying political posts, have sponsored content that you didn't ask for and you didn't put there. And all you did was try to like somebody's brand, and they said, oh, well, if they like us, then they must really like the sale that we're having this week. No, they don't. So you can't hang out in your social feeds and try to be marketing free. Good luck with that. You click on a cool website, I'm in the market for something. I'm clicking on a cool website on my phone or my web browser, and their ads will retarget and follow you like a drone, until you either buy or you die, and then, the next level of technology is after you die, they'll set those ads up to follow your next of kin. There is no responsibility left in the marketing profession, with the exception of this show. No, with the exception of a small band of heroes with a great mission. No, there are folks that try to do it right, but man, we are so outnumbered. We are so outnumbered by the idiots in this world. It is staggering. Why must our marketing be like this? Why must it be so invasive, so horrific? How do we come to this? How did it get this way? That's what we're going to talk about on this episode. And of course, I'm going to give you some tips on how to be on the other side of the line, which is the side of the line that you want to be on. Trust me. So according to etymologists, the term marketing first appeared in dictionaries in the 16th century, and it referred to the process of buying and selling at the market. The contemporary definition of marketing is a process of moving goods from producer to consumer with an emphasis on sales and advertising. That started to come out and most people would say, oh, okay, that must be like the 1940s, 1950s. No, 1897. The term marketing is a derivation of the Latin word marketus, which means market or merchant. Marketing's been with us for a long, long time. And it's important to know that. Has it always been an invasion? Some would say, I think some would say yes. Here in the 16th century, was marketing an invasion? It depends, right? It depends on how it's used. And there are certainly instances you can point to in that 16th century where, yeah, it was invasive. It's nowhere near the level that it is today. As I have said before, and I often say on this show, every time mankind has made a great leap forward in communications, marketing has been there to sort of urinate in the pool, right? Every time everybody's like, hey, it's a great pool party. It's like hey, everybody's up having a good time. Whoa, look at this social media. Oh, email. Look at all these games. And marketing's like, hey, this is great. Here, how about a little color, for the water there? And not that marketing has the best of intentions. They are such happy little puppies. They're just bouncing around. They want to sell you something. Oh my God, it's so cute. They want to sell you. They really do. And they're just, their enthusiasm gets in the way of their thought process. And that's a problem. That is a problem. I run into it all the time with new clients. They're like, we got to get this out there. We got to spread the word. We got to, like Paul Revere letting you know that the invasion's coming, and then they become the invasion. It comes from a fundamental misunderstanding of how important your stuff is next to their stuff. And that's really important to know. It's to me, I think the thing, it's all about power and consideration, and let me explain. Power, because when marketing, first started, and certainly as it's grown and latched onto every bit of our communications, like a like a crazy alien being of some kind. You know, the balance of power has shifted. It used to be from the marketer, when there was kind of less stuff and less choices in the market, and that, you know, you needed to go to the, you know, the actual store to get things, and there were lines, and there was kind of greater demand than there was of supply. There was all those kind of things. But the balance of that power has shifted from the marketer to the consumer now. So here in good old fashioned 2017, a lot of companies haven't gotten this memo yet. They think that their stuff is the most important. They think that the sun, you know, rises and sets with their message, and the consumer just can't even function if they don't hear from them. This is inaccurate. In fact, if your company shut down and was never heard from again, the world keeps turning, folks. You know, you're not that important. You know, and part of doing marketing well is understanding your actual place in the world, when you can be useful and when you can kind of disappear and not be useful. So again, that's the power part. The balance of power shifted from the marketer to the consumer, right? Boom, boom, boom. And then also the consideration. Companies simply do not think about the audience enough or at all when they do stuff. They are so terribly excited about communicating that you know, it's the most important thing to them. So of course it is also the most important thing to you, you know, and that's just not true. And I'm going to illustrate that point with an email that I received this morning, actually today. And I think it does a pretty good job of illustrating my point. So it comes from, a person named Fenning Garcia. And the subject header is Possible Marketing Assistance. Hi, Scott. How are you? Very pleasant. I was wondering if we could share a minute to talk over the phone. We are a company that provides top quality sales leads and have taken an interest in your business. Interest in my business. Excellent. We are hoping to assist you with growing your company by helping you with marketing. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, let me just take an aside here. What does my company do? Yes, that is correct. We are a public relations and marketing company. If anyone doesn't need that help, I have got to be the top of that list. Communications is in the title of my actual company name. So, you know, if you hit my website, the first thing you see is strategic branding, public relations, communications. Why in the holy hell would you think I need help with marketing? Are you serious? You know, allow me to continue. We have the best callers to connect potential clients and set sales appointments for you as face-to-face, phone, or webinars. We can draft you a full quote or a full lead generation service based on your requirements. Can we set up a call next week, Monday or Tuesday, to discuss? So you're going to telemarket to people on my behalf. You're going to invoke the name of my awesome, cool brand. And you are going, and the people's first interaction with you is going to be the fact that I have a telemarketing company calling and setting appointments. Are you serious? Is my question back to you. There is no chance that approach is going to work. You know, for my business, there is no way. First of all, the reason that I win business is because I'm smart. I know stuff. I have, I have connections. I have relationships. I have things that I bring to bear to add value to my clients. No one on your staff is going to be able to communicate that well to a company. Ask the right questions. They probably don't ask any questions, and they just set up, But that's a terrible approach. That's a terrible, terrible, terrible approach. I mean, I can't imagine doing something like that. So, and that's from this morning, people. That's people trying to market to me and saying that their plan for me. I saw another one with LinkedIn. Give us access to your LinkedIn contacts list, and we'll double your business by going to all of your LinkedIn connections and sending them messages. And I think, really, you're going to send a message to all of my LinkedIn connections, who know my gospel, who know that I don't believe in that kind of thing, and you're going to pitch them to work with me. People work with you when they're ready to. They work with you on their schedule. It's it's about their needs. It's about what's going on with them. It's not this this sleazy, let's call everybody kind of project. Invasive marketing is a problem. And honestly, I put all marketing in the invasive category today. I do think that all things have the potential to be invasive, especially if you don't have the empathy and the consideration of the audience that is required to, marketing is great power, right? The line from Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility, right? I believe that is true. I also like Spider-Man, by the way. So, fantastic movies. I've liked them all. I got to say, the new one looks really, really good as well. But that's a powerful line, and very, very important for marketers to pay attention to. With great power, you have the ability to communicate all around the world. You have the power to, create this message, to push it to all these kind of different people. But you must temper that with the responsibility to back off people, because you are the invasion. You are the interruption. You are the annoyance. You're the problem, right? Knowing that you're the problem is sometimes half the battle. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, especially in segment 3. So from a Fast Company article that talks about why invasive marketing will come back to bite you, it says, if you saturate and overstimulate customers with messaging, they're going to reach a point where it all becomes white noise. This happened to direct mail, now universally referred to as junk mail. It's happening in social media. It can happen to, every bit of communication. Remember, we mentioned the metaphor of sort of peeing in the pool once the party gets going. People do not wish to be pitched around the clock. There is a time and a place for advertising. There is, but it's not about forcing your message. It is about attracting people to your message. And that's what we are going to talk about that a bit. If people say, well, if marketing is an invasion, then Scott, what do you suggest? I suggest attraction. I suggest a mode of operation where you create things that are so good, so exciting, so talked about, so incredible for your customers that you will become, very much more important to them than you will be if you're invading their space. And that's segment 1 of Invasive Procedures here on May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. Come on back. We're going to talk about who's winning and who's losing this week in marketing. See ya.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Entertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Hey, it's Tracy Smith
and Beth Venus
of Girls Talk Rock right here on the Entertalk Radio Network.
Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific.
Okay, Beth, they know that, but we want you to know that the industry pro's choice is Silver Tiger Production.
SDP is a full-service production agency offering sound, lighting, installations, talent buying, staffing, backline equipment rental, and sales. Kapow!
It's everything in the entertainment performance industry. It's all that. SilverTigerProduction.com.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey, happy Friday. You are wisely back with May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I am still Scott, your host, talking about invasive marketing today with Paul B. How's it going, Paul?
Pretty good. Yeah, that story you were telling is funny. The marketing company approaching you.
Oh, no.
It reminds me of and you rail about this on your show all the time. But like, I'll buy something on Amazon, and then for a month later, I get ads everywhere for the same product that I already bought or hotel I already stayed at.
I know. It's like, in this world of big data, it just seems like, a lot of people aren't using the data. A lot of people aren't using the data, and you just have to shake your head. And speaking of shaking your head, that is the whole thing that we're doing here in segment 2 as we talk about who's winning and who's losing this week. Man, we got a lot of these. And somebody cornered me at the damn show, and they said, how do you fill that much of your radio show with who's winning and losing? And I was kind of laughing, and I was like, man, that part of the show writes itself. That is absolutely. There are way more things going on than I have time to talk about, and we could go for hours more. We could do the entire show just on that and never run out of things to talk about, because there's just always weird stuff going on in the world of marketing. So, and just the world in general. All right, so first one up, winning. Everybody is winning on this one because a new study from Keiran University in Japan says that eating ice cream for breakfast may improve your mental performance and alertness. Liking this. So the study was published and said that eating ice cream right after waking up, we have to define what that means exactly. Like in the shower, you're hammering some cookie dough ice cream while you're shaving. I could see it. But anyway, eating ice cream right after waking up can result in improved instances of alertness and mental performance. The study, which was published on Excite News in Japan, compared participants' brain activity in people who had been given ice cream immediately after waking up with those who had not eaten ice cream. First of all, fun study. I mean, let's start out and say, hey, how much do you get paid to be in a study where you just get to eat ice cream every day for breakfast? Loving it. So Koga, the researcher, found that people who had consumed ice cream showed better reaction time, were able to process information better than those who did not have the ice cream. Further tests of brain activity showed that people who had the ice cream first thing in the morning had a high increase in high-frequency alpha waves, which are associated with higher levels of alertness and can reduce your mental irritation. So I'm just going to keep going. Just one more bit of the study. If you want to see the study for yourself, you can just check out Japan's Excite News. It's a lot more detailed than I can get into here. But subjects that were tested a second time said they were given cold water. Said they were given cold water instead of ice cream immediately after waking up. The results from that particular test did show higher levels of alertness. Oh, you think so? Really? How'd you give it? How'd you deliver the cold water? Would that be a bucket delivery system? Because my guess is the alertness would be up there. High levels of alertness and mental capacity. Then the people who had the ice cream for breakfast showed significantly higher mental stimulation. So it's not just the temperature. And they gave people cold water. Like I said, you get like an image of like a Japanese game show where they're like, hitting people with ice cream and or cold water in the morning, which just sounds like that's a good time on TV. I don't care who you are. Anyway, we're all winning. And by the way, you have my permission now to go eat ice cream for breakfast. It's all good. You should go do it. Losing this week, GameStop. Okay, so a story broke, earlier this year about its Circle of Life program, where GameStop is a video game store, a national chain, and they make a lot of their money not just by selling new video games, but of course by bringing in old video games, giving you some money for those, and then selling them at a higher price, right? Good old used video game sales. So GameStop employees, have this aggressive new policy at the retailer, which kind of has taken their forcefulness to a new level. For a decade now, GameStop has this company strategy they call the Circle of Life, which is that customers should buy games, trade them back into GameStop, use the proceeds to buy more games. GameStop's profit margin for used games is way higher than it is for new games, so it's in the company's best interest, yada, yada. But the company's been ramping this up, and there's a story that broke today, on Gizmodo, I believe it was, where it said that employees are scared for our jobs, and they think that the Circle of Life program is taking advantage of consumers, and they're encouraged to sell used video games over new video games and this kind of thing. And I want to just talk about this for a second. The reason this is losing today, obviously, it's a public relations crisis. This brand is built around the idea of trying to be helpful to gamers and be a resource for them. If it gets out that they are trying to exploit gamers, then, especially gamers, that's a community that talks to each other underground, that has all kinds of back channel communications. It's like they can make you disappear by snapping their fingers together. And that is not an exaggeration in any way, shape, or form. That is not a community. That is a community that is wicked connected to each other, is what I'll say. So, so GameStop has this policy. Employees are speaking up about it. More than 100 employees have spoken up about it so far. They're in the midst of a public relations crisis right now of kind of how to deal with this thing. And it's very similar to Wells Fargo. What you see here, and as I was thinking about this, I was like, this is a classic example of like you have great intentions at first, and then as the program kind of grows, the needs of the company start to become more important than the needs of the customer. And this whole episode, we're talking about invasive marketing. If there's one characteristic of invasive marketing that you see, it's the needs of the company communicating start to outweigh the needs of the consumer. What is great marketing? The definition of great marketing is listening to the customer and responding. Listen and respond. Listen and respond. Listen and respond. The greatest brands in the world know how to listen, know how to respond, right? If all of a sudden you're trying to push something and now you're a pusher and that kind of thing, then you are no longer in connection with their needs from your brand, and that their needs are secondary. And when their needs become secondary, you start to lose them. And you start to have big problems like this. Wells Fargo, exact same thing. Fired 5,000 employees for basically a scheme where they would open up accounts and credit cards in customers' names and say, oh, yeah, you kind of need this, but it was this highly incentivized program. I mean, you can read all about it. I've talked about it lots of times on this show. The biggest problem with that is the culture. The culture around Wells Fargo, that it was okay to put the company's needs above the consumer. I don't know many companies at all that can survive with that type of mindset. If your company has a policy like that and you start to sense that it is getting and you're disconnected from the needs of the consumer, you should be worried. You should be really, really worried, because the focus of there's no way you can advertise your way out of that program, and there's very little way that you can public relations, spin your way out of that program too, or whatever. But while we're on the subject, if this was happening to your company, and you are in a marketing role and a public relations role, because I'm sure I'll get the question, how would you handle that? The way I would handle it is, first of all, in every crisis, you want to find out the truth. You want to find out, where is the truth? Has the journalist taken liberties with this story? Obviously, if there's 100 employees complaining about it, then you're already behind. You're behind in the game. So I would definitely your strategy as public relations, it would be to research, find out where is the truth. Once you have ascertained the truth, you want to make sure, and if it is in fact this is the company policy, and it's just getting aggressive and forceful and lost needs of the consumer, then you need to sit down with executive management, and it is time for a very hard talk about what are we doing. What are we doing? Why are we doing this? What is your thought? What are your thoughts on this? And then, of course, if there has been wrongdoing, especially in the C-suite, and this is just always the fun conversation to have, you need to admit it. You need to absolutely admit it and come and realize the error of your ways, and actually apologize and all those kind of things. If the story is has other points of view and those kind of things, then those kind of things can come out too. But to me, in this sense, it looks like, and this is not a community you want to disappoint too many times. They're very connected. They talk a lot. So I put GameStop firmly in the losing category because of that. Oh man, speaking of losing, geez. In the music products industry, Ted Kornblum, the founder and CEO of Magnatone Guitar Amplifier, posted on January 30th. Here's what he posted. Rest easy, people. It'll only take 100 days till Trump gets a bullet in the head. So he posted that statement via his personal Facebook page, which now appears to be deactivated. And he issued an apology on the Magnatone Company Facebook page for the original post. And that page was also taken down. By the way, the whole taking down of that stuff, that is not neither an apology or smart. Because anybody that has taken a screenshot of that can just post it anywhere, and there are screenshots of it everywhere. And it's like, you can't erase the internet there, Tiger. I'm just saying, we got to be a little bit smarter about stuff like that. You can't threaten the life of the president of the United States of America, folks. That is treason, no matter who it is and no matter what it is, and you can't do that. So, that is a very, aside from being offensive and all those kind of things, I mean, that is a visit from the Secret Service that you do not want. And, there's nothing about that that's going to work out in a positive way. But I will say one more on the thing, I know Ted Kornblum, I know Magnatone amps, people can make a mistake. You don't erase the mistake by taking pages down and deactivating accounts and stuff like that. That is amateur night in public relations, folks. Don't do that stuff. Admit what you did. Leave it up there. It needs to be up there, because you start taking it down and things like that. That's terrible. That's terrible. I heard somebody in a PR capacity say the first thing you want to do if you have a crisis is go on your website and delete everything about the crisis on your website. And it's times like that where I need like a stiff drink in the room. I raised my hand and I said, are you freaking kidding me? Public relations is supposed to be built on honesty and trust and the truth. I mean, deleting stuff from your pages is the exact opposite of what you want to do as an actual public relations practitioner in this world, ladies and gentlemen. Don't ever do that. I don't care how bad it is. I don't care if you did say that you want to have a bullet in the head. You can post the apology right next to it or whatever. But deactivating accounts and stuff like that does not erase things. Not in this world. People have taken a screenshot of it. There are screenshots of that page everywhere. All you have to do is go look for it. So it's like you're not doing anything there. And I feel bad for Ted. I feel bad for Magnatone amplifiers having to deal with a crisis of this magnitude. I feel bad for Ted personally, because he's going to be investigated by the Secret Service, and that's not going to be fun. So anyway, I would definitely say, be careful what you post on social media at that level. You can't do, you can be against anybody that you want, but you can't threaten the president of the United States of America or any government official like that, and not expect some kind of massive, problems, retaliation. Plus, remember all the red states, you sell products into all the states that were red on that map. The only states that were blue on that map were on the edges of the United States of America. So everybody else is pretty much in favor, right? So just, intelligence wise, you just alienated all the red states, which is a lot of states and people. So I wouldn't do that. Anyway, let's move on. Here's something cool. Winning, they discovered a new brain hormone that triggers fat burning regardless of your food intake. Now, this is freaky. So it's basically a neurotransmitter, serotonin, has been shown to play a central role in regulating appetite. This new experiments they did on roundworms, kind of sounds gross, but there you go, identified a brain hormone that selectively can trigger fat burning in the gut regardless of food intake. And of course, the findings could have implications for humans, especially with the Super Bowl parties coming along. I mean, by next year at this time, you might have an actual crazy pharmaceutical that you could take, and it would just burn fat constantly, regardless of how much you take in. That could also be a problem too, because if you don't take in enough and it's just not doing nothing but burning fat, I mean, I can't imagine that would be a good thing either. But I'm going to say that that's winning because I don't know. I like to eat a lot. Hey, speaking of that, we have a crisis on our hands. The nation's bacon reserves have now hit a 50-year low, and prices are rising. Okay, come on. There is a bacon shortage, ladies and gentlemen. A bacon shortage. Try to remain calm. The country's bacon reserves are at the lowest levels in half a century. In other words, pig farmers can't keep up with the world's sizzling appetite for those fatty, smoky, super awesome strips of sheer eating pleasure.
How come I'm not seeing people marching in the street over this?
Oh, bacon, bacon, bacon. That's what I'm talking about. The Ohio Pork Council, and there is one. Can you imagine, like, you kiss your wife and you're leaving there? What do you do, Scott? Well, I work for the Ohio Pork Council. What the hell do you do with your life? I mean, a Columbus-based nonprofit, but they get paid in bacon, so everything rules. Reported Tuesday that demand for the frozen pork belly, frequently made into bacon, is outpacing supply. I think we need a commission to investigate this. I think there's not been enough due diligence done on this. It's very, very important to dig into that, I would say. Well, let's talk about the Super Bowl. This weekend is the Super Bowl. In marketing terms, it's the Super Bowl of marketing, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm saying. $5 million per second for the Super Bowl. Crazy rates. No, I'm sorry. The average cost for a 30-second ad crept up to $5 million just for the ad buy, of course, and it was $4.8 million last year. But marketers and brands need to spend anywhere from 25% of that cost to get the same amount of marketing tied to the ads themselves. So they, have to invest around other things of the marketing program to make sure that the Super Bowl ad actually, flies. I like the fact that marketing is on display at the Super Bowl. It's probably the one time that advertising, we're talking about invasive marketing in this episode. It's probably one of the only times that marketing is seen as the attraction, because everybody tunes in to see who has the best ad and who's going to win and that kind of thing. And the ads are usually really good, really good stuff. And, sometimes they have, they're longer than they usually are. And that's a good thing in the Super Bowl. And depending on how the game's going, I mean, if you're looking at a blowout, then the only thing you got is really to look at advertising. And, in this world of invasive marketing, that's who's winning and losing this week. Come on back in segment 3. I'm going to give you tips on how to be less invasive and much more attractive to your customers on May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Radio. We'll talk to you in a few.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Entertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Girls are talking rock again.
And people are listening.
Today we're talking bands.
Let's talk promotion. Red Giant promo, graphics, EPKs, video, photos, social media, and brand building using content marketing.
But let's talk studio at CCMA, which is events, rehearsal, tour prep, piano, guitar, voice, rock band, lessons, workshops, and clinics. Yeah.
Both proud sponsors of Girls Talk Rock.
Well, get the lowdown on these services and contact me, Tracy, at girlstalkrock.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Happy Friday. You are back with segment 3 of May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I am Scott, still hosting, driving you all the way to the end of this episode called Invasive Procedures. And we just talked about who's winning and losing. With me on the air is Paul B. What did you like this week, Paul?
Very, very disturbing news all around, especially the bacon shortage. Yeah.
The bacon shortage,
threats
man.
against the president or bacon supplies. Or this is the end times, I think. It sounds like. This has been prophesized.
Yeah, it's exactly. I mean, the country can deal with anything except for a shortage of bacon.
Yeah.
They're just looking for a way they can charge you more for bacon, probably. You know,
a conspiracy.
That's
a
right.
Conspiracy of bacon.
Dan Brown writes a new book. You go look for cues and clues in all the pig farms in Ohio at the National Pork Council.
Cedric was saying that now they're going to try to shove Canadian bacon down your throat like it's the same thing.
Oh, Canadian bacon.
Is there anything worse?
Have you seen the commercials, by the way, where they are touting spam as if it's a thing? They say every day is Friday and FRI Friday, and they show you like they're like frying up spam, and then they show it that's like cut into little pieces of spam. I don't know if you've seen those ads.
No, I haven't seen those ads, and I don't eat spam, but not because spam is not awesome. It's just because spam is too awesome.
It's too awesome.
Spam is good.
Spam is too. How is it too awesome? I gotta say that. I mean, it's too awesome.
Like anything that awesome can be good for you, kind of thing.
I see. I think personally, they have a little bit of a brand problem that you call all marketing that people don't want spam.
Yeah, well, it's like I don't know. I like it. It just seems. It does have a bad rep. But when I used to have it like when I was a kid, and I dig it.
All right, everybody's assignment is to go out and get a can. Yeah.
It's like soda. I love soda, but I never drink it just because, not because Coca-Cola doesn't taste good, but it's just,
It's terrible for you, and they could actually embalm your body with it.
Yeah.
Once you were passed away. That was a good story, by the way. I enjoyed that. All right, well, that's enough fun for winning and losing. Winning and losing was fun this week. So let's talk about, segment 3, I wanted to give everybody some tips for being less invasive and thus more attractive, not in the, attractive to the, opposite sex kind of way, but like drawing in an audience, which is really, really important. Tip number 1, I think, the most important thing is to recognize your marketing. When you're looking at the plan, you're looking at the spreadsheet, you're looking at the whole marketing plan is being developed, recognize that all of that stuff is an invasion. All of that stuff is not asked for, and people say, oh, well, they subscribe to our list. Okay. All right. I mean, I get that, but that doesn't mean that, that's not permission to just send out stuff just because you can, just because you have the idea in your mind that it's free. So why not? Because the why not is you're invading people's lives, and that is a big deal, a really, really big deal that not nearly enough people think about. They don't. I know lots of people in the marketing profession, and they're just executing. They're just executing, baby. We're getting the execution done. We're just checking off boxes. We're doing this kind of stuff. How I like to practice, marketing is different than that. You start with a great deal of recognition of the fact that, okay, if nobody wants to hear from us, what could we possibly do to make it so that they did, and just by doing that shift in your mind will make you much more respectful of the customer's time. Remember, we've seen what can happen if you lose sight of how the customer's role in this whole little equation. Very, very important. And that brings us to tip number 2. Think about your audience. Listen to your audience. Listen. A lot of people think that communications is just talking. It's just talking. How fast can you talk? How much can you talk? How many ways can you talk? How many languages can we talk in? How many kind of things? This is incorrect. The best people at communications are good listeners, right? Not as sexy, but extremely useful. Now, how do we listen? I did a whole show on listening, by the way. Find the show on listening back in the Entertalk library there. Find the one we did on listening. We listen through. I mean, we don't have to go out to Chicago in a room filled with 10 people that were randomly, grabbed from different socioeconomic backgrounds, and we don't have to do focus groups. People talk about your brand every day on social media. Yeah, here in good old 2017, there's probably people talking about it. And if they're not talking about your brand, because maybe you're new, they're talking about your category. So how do you listen? Well, you learn how to group conversations together. You look at free social media listening tools. You pay due attention to that. I'm not saying, every company usually has surveys and their own research methodology going out. And I'm not saying that you would completely ignore those. Just realize that people in your own life, the reason that you're going to fill out a survey is either you're really, really happy, or more than likely you're really, really unhappy. So you get this weird bell curve, where you're not hearing from the majority of people. You're hearing from the minority who is just elated and really ticked off at you. That kind of thing. So it can really, that can really take you in a weird, bad direction. So temper that with some social media, because, they make sure you're listening to social media. Make sure that your social media program, do you know how many social media programs don't include a listening element? People always ask me that too. They go, our social media program, we post 5 times a week and it's awesome. And we get this many likes and things. And I say, really? How do you listen? Where's your listening mechanism? Oh, now it's quiet. Now it gets quiet. I'm like, you don't listen, do you? Well, that doesn't work out in the communication world, as you might imagine. If you go out with a bunch of friends tonight and you talk nonstop and you don't ever listen and you don't ever stop, first of all, you're going to run out of oxygen. Second of all, you're not going to be well liked, because human beings like to be heard. All of us do. And that's what makes the conversation interesting and go around and all that kind of thing. But look at your social media strategy. Does it include listening? And I'm not saying you look at Google Analytics and keywords and stuff like that. No. Are you looking at conversations? Are you looking at what is the tone of people talking about your category and your brand? What of the things that we're doing out there, what are people saying about them? Those kind of things. That's how you can be really valuable. Marketing isn't just about coming up with clever, super clever taglines and super clever things. It's about bringing some real business intelligence to the company, And marketers usually are the ones that are going to say, let's stop and listen for a second. Let's see what's going on out there. Of course, if your brand is fortunate enough to do live conversations out there, make sure you're capturing that too. Make sure you're capturing that. One other way that we can listen to is, what do the media think about our products and services? You know, what are the media saying about it? What do our employees think about it? HR is always, charged with employee engagement, but that can be really interesting, from a marketing perspective too. Here's some folks that are in the inside of our organization, and are they evangelists? And if not, is there any learning that we could take out of that? All of these kind of things, when you're listening, you're less invasive. Why are you less invasive when you're listening? Because you're not talking. You're not talking. It's very, very, seems simple, seems pretty obvious. You'd be amazed at the things that I see as a practitioner in marketing communications this many years. You'd be amazed at how many things are launched without even a thought about how the audience is going to receive them. Do you know how you know that that's happening? Remember that segment that I just did about who's winning and losing, right? There is a 1-to-1, correlation between listening and doing things right and being empathetic with the audience and ending up on the winning side of the marketing equation. Absolutely. So again, those media reviews can be a great point of listening and a great point to think about that audience too. Number three tip for being less invasive and more interactive. And I call this one, just make a fantastic record and share it with the world. Just put it in band terms. What do great bands do? They make great records. They go out and they make great music, great tracks. Sorry to use the record word, like half the audience is like, I'm sorry, what? So no, make great content. Whatever it is that your company does, be great at it. If it's not great, maybe resist the urge to share it until it is great. Really seek to attract people rather than interrupt them. If you have a marketing team, make that the challenge. Say, how can we attract people? What is it that we have going on that will help us attract and grow a following, like a band grows a following? The best way that a band continues to prove itself is by continuing to put out great music, and marketing is the same exact way. You must continue to put out great marketing, not just because it has to go out on February 5th. It's got to go out on February 5th at 9 a.m. and that kind of thing. It's like it goes out when it's ready to go out, when it's appropriate to go out, when we're there. Look at the folks on YouTube. Some of the best feeds on YouTube, some of the best content is they're just making great stuff. They're just making great stuff. And then there's almost an element of kind of surprise that, oh, wow, well, we have millions of people who are liking and following that, it is very band-like in the sense that, your band all of a sudden, you hear about these bands that, labor in small clubs for years and years and years. And all of a sudden they, kind of hit it big and they have this overnight success. But, and they'll be the first ones to tell you, no, we put the work in. We put the work in of hitting all those clubs and doing all those tours and doing and putting out that music and doing that on a systematic basis. And now all of a sudden, we are at a different level and that's, appropriate. But again, YouTube has some fantastic examples of, you ever have somebody, if you're a marketing person, you get cornered and some people say, well, how do I make something go viral? I really want to, I've got something I really think we designed it. It's perfect. It can go viral. It's like, just you setting out to make it go viral. It probably is not going to go viral because it's probably going to be transparent that what you're trying to do. And, you're not being real about the reason that you want it to go viral either. Some of the most unexpected things, catch on, in crazy ways on the positive side. I mean, almost every time you screw up, it's going to go viral, whether you like it or not. But, bad news does travel faster, by the way. It's been true since the 15th century. probably before that, to be honest, but let's call it the 15th century. And then, it's still true today. Tip number 4, use third parties as messengers. You want to be less invasive? You want to be more attractive? Use third parties. One of the greatest reasons why I love public relations is the fact that we earn our way into the credibility circle of people who have a lot of credibility and who aren't considered an invasion. You want, everybody looks at product reviews, but one thing that you look at product reviews for is, it depends on who's reviewing it. What is the editor or the magazine behind it, and what do they have to say about it? And, and has that been advice that's worked for you in the past? That kind of thing. But I do think that it helps people to eliminate risk. If a third party says that something is great, something is incredible, something is, is really, really good, then it's going to be a lot easier. And again, if they're saying it, then you're not invading people. It's one less point that you can use the media as a messenger with your message. And I know people will chime up and say, oh, well, I don't get to control everything. And sometimes I talk to the press and I got burned and yada, yada, yada. Yeah, you do. It happens. It happens. Not always. It's not intentional. There are much fewer, media representatives trying to do the same job or more work than ever before. So you've got fact-checking errors, you've got holes in stuff, you've got typos, you've got all kinds of stuff that probably didn't exist a decade or two ago. Welcome to 2017. I don't know what to tell you. It's the bottom line is, the media still have credibility, and they have much more credibility than your company does, and you're more credibility than your company ever will have. And that's an interesting point. A lot of people think that their company has more credibility than they do. It's like, don't overestimate that, by the way. Make sure that they know you're selling them something. Also, my last tip on being less invasive: when people want to quit you, let them, please, pay attention to your unsubscribes. Design your process. Make sure you can let people out. People get really angry if they've unsubscribed and you keep hitting them. The anger just multiplies. And all that anger is transferred to your brand. We talked about brand emotional transference. You do not want it when it has anger behind it. Not cool. Those are my 5 tips. Recognize marketing for what it is, an invasion. Think about the audience, listen to them, make fantastic content and share it. Use third parties when you can as your messengers. And when people want to quit you, please let them go. Let them go. Marketing is a plague. And at one time, it had really good intentions. I think we could get back to those intentions. I think we could show the world what great marketing can really be. That is my mission. That is my hope. That's my wish for you in this Chinese New Year, which I just learned was the year of the fire rooster. Another fine reminder of a loud noise that nobody wants to hear, the rooster, by the way. So be the opposite of the fire rooster. Be an eagle. Everybody stops what they're doing when the eagle flies by. And the eagle could not care less whether you do or don't look at it. That's the lesson for marketing right there. So, until next time, my friends, fly like an eagle. That is it from me, marketing fans. This has been Scott Robertson signing off for May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. We'll see you all again next week. Have a good one. You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Entertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer. ever.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?